down so nobody can. Whoops.
It says live.
It says live. I hope we're live.
Yeah, I've got a
Oh, you
live.
know what? I think I accidentally turned off my camera. I'm
Oh,
sorry. Hi, everybody. This is Intuitive Retta. I'm here with my friend and the awesome deck creator, Pamela Steele. And so let's give her a warm welcome. I'm going to look. Yes, I see myself. So I'm live. Hopefully, people will come in pretty soon. Um, so she is the awesome creator of the Steel Wizard Tarot. What did I do with the other one? I had both of them. And then also the Wizard's Pets, which I bought for my grandson. So this is her first edition. This is the hard box, and she has a soft box, which I just have. Oh, here it is. Here's the soft box. And the only difference is between the hard is a little bit, there's different card stock and the size of them, and also the back. Do you still have any of the first edition? Are they
I
still
do.
selling the first edition?
I do. I think we're down
Okay.
to about we're way under 500 copies, but yeah. See, I ordered 2,000 when I first self-published, and everybody goes, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. You'll never sell more than 150." And I went, "Okay." We did that in the first 48 hours. Like it was bang, they were gone. But I'd had a waiting list for so long while I was doing this. And oddly enough, I woke up at 5 to get kick Brian out to work, and at 5:30, not realizing a lot of people that had been on the waiting list were in the UK, and my first 50 decks were gone by 5:15. So
Wow.
yeah,
So,
so
so
yes,
which
I
deck
do
did
have
you
some.
create first? Did you create the Still Wizard or the Wizard's Pets?
Steel Wizard.
Okay, the
That was
Still
my
Wizard.
first tarot deck. Now the Wizard's Pets, the original characters, the original four characters, they started in 1984 as
This is
yeah, that's my babies. And they were just a cartoon series. I've actually got a guy right now on Facebook who tracked me down and said, "Is this you?" And he's got some of those drawings from I think around 86 and wanted to know if I wanted to buy them back. No, I've got the originals. I've got stacks. I don't need them. But it was sweet of him to find me and do this. And I have people that will track me down, usually on social media, and say, "Oh my gosh, that's you." And I had this one, my folks bought it for me when I was a kid, and now my children have it. And, I'm going, "Oh, that's so cool." But yeah,
and
that's
that's who I bought it for, my grandson. So for people who don't know, how did you get started in tarot? Tell people first. Let's find a little bit about yourself. When did you get into tarot? When did you create? Just so they know a little bit a backstory, and then we'll figure out how did you get into this tarot.
um way back in, I think it was 70, let's see, would have been about late 78 or early 79, somewhere in there. I'm pretty sure it was still in 78. Could have been 79. But anyway, that's a long time. My memory only goes back to about 10 minutes ago. So, hey, um, we'd moved to Kansas. Okay. I'd married a Canadian, and the economy, the bottom fell out of it like it is now. And they moved us to Kansas because I'm still a US citizen. I'm a dual citizen now, but at the time I was still just US. And when we were there, within the first week or two, I met someone. Her name's Maya Heath. She is Dragon Scale Jewelry. And when we met, it was like two cats who just trucked over each other in the alley, circling with their tails pushed and everything. And we got to comparing notes, about this and that and the other. Well, about a week later, my kids were out camping with some of the neighbors, and she calls me and she says, "I got to do a road trip to Fort Worth. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Sure." So she picked me up. We drove down to Fort Worth to pick up parts. And while we were there, we were touring Fort Worth, Dallas. And she drags me into her favorite little bell book and candle shop. It was downtown Fort Worth, with no traffic. Everything's blocked off. It was a really quiet day. There was no one there in the whole place but us. And we walked around on these brick streets and then down this alley and around to the back of one of these buildings. And it was literally called the Bell Book and Candle. And we walked in and she does the Vanna White display case. And there was possibly at the most 20 different tarot decks in there. And she said, pick one. I said, why? And she kind of frowned and she said, well, you need a visible means of prophecy because I'm sick and tired of you freaking everybody out. Will you just pick a damn deck? And I walked over, I looked, and the only one that caught my eye was the Rider-Waite-Smith.
Wow.
So I grabbed it and bought it. And I think it was $18 or something. Anyway, we get back to the motel room and I opened the deck and I laid them out all across the bed that was mine. And I'm looking at them and I said, well, where's the rest of them? What? She has its absolute meltdown, goes over, counts them, looks through them. She says, they're just, and I said, no, there's no card for truth. There's no card for, and I started naming it off. And where's the card in the courts for young women? And where's this? And where's that? And she says, just read the damn things. And so I did. I learned to read with them and fell in love with tarot in about 30 seconds. I was hooked. So yeah, it was my cousin. She did it.
I just see you guys now in chat. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was in chat, but I wasn't in the right thing. Chat is going on like crazy. And I didn't know. I thought I was the only one in the room. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for tuning in. So what made you, because I know me when I first got, I had the Toff deck that I connected with more. I tried the Rider-Waite, but I didn't find any like common ground at first. Now I love the Rider-Waite, but at that time I just looked at it and I had I couldn't connect. It just didn't make sense to me or anything like that. And at the time the Toff did. But it's strange how you've seen an immediate connection with the Rider-Waite.
It was instant. Absolutely instant.
Who are some of your influences in the beginning that kind of, when you first started out? Who were some of the people that got you, to read more or to really get into the tarot? Was there anybody, or did you just do this organically yourself?
Well, other than my cousin, of course, I picked up a book. In fact, it's still around here somewhere. I even made a book cover for it out of suede so it wouldn't wear out. It was written by Arthur E. Waite. Okay. The first one I think he published. And then there was another one that somebody gave me by Eden Gray. Really, it was what I did was I started journaling, and I had these two books, which most of it didn't agree. But what I would do is every day I would write down date, time, what spread I used. And I really, really like spreads because to me, it gives me a little more in-depth information, knowing the positional meaning. That's very important to me because I'm looking at the big picture. And what I would do is I would write down what card fell in which position and then find the common threads in the book, like if there were any, or look for something that they agree that it might mean. And I realized those are just guidelines. So what I would do is I would write down my thoughts. And then anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks later, something would happen in the outside world that went click. And I would run back over and look up that date or dig through till I found it and add more to my notes. And it didn't take very long before I started this stack of spiral bound, little notebooks. And that's eventually what became the guideline book for the Steel Wizard.
Wow. And see how they're so different. Everybody has their own approach to tarot. And I think people forget that there's not one right way. Like you like spreads. Me, I can't deal with the spread. It's just too much. I'm like, really, I can't think about what position this is in. I kind of just throw down the cards. They go where they are. And in my head, I ask questions as I go. And that's how I do it. So tarot is not a definition. This is one thing I kind of, especially if you get a lot of comments I call from the peanut gallery. Well, that's not what that spread means. And I'm like, well, this isn't a spread that I'm doing. But if you like a spread, go ahead and do it. It's more power to you. Whatever. I feel like tarot is very individual. It's not a team sport.
Not at all. And I totally agree with you on that, because what I've noticed over the years is as long as your focus and your intent are correct and in the right place, and you're not doing this for any nefarious reasons, there's not a wrong way to do it. The only thing I ever suggest is that people really tailor their question to what they want to know. Instead of walking in with a scattergun, you walk in with a laser beam. Because I've had people sit down and say, I don't know whether I should take this new job or stay in town. Like, what does the tarot say? Well, let's break it down. Let's say, okay, what advice do you have on me taking this new position? Okay. And we'll go from there. And then if they want, I mean, there are spreads that I've used that, okay, this is you now, and the top line is part of A and the bottom line is B. And then here are the outcome cards. And then you can kind of see which one would be the better path. But honestly,
see what you're saying. I agree with you. When I do a reading like with someone live, I need to have it like, okay, like now I've kind of learned too, people who want relationships are like, when am I gonna find this man, or when am I gonna find this love? I said, no, we're not doing that anymore, because I can't predict that. I want to know, in order for, let's ask the cards and your higher self, what do you need to work on so you can attract this person that you want to come into your life? Because you can want all you want, but if you're not changing anything, whether this person is right for you or not, it's not going to make a difference.
It's very simple. Okay. The universe is a genie in the bottle. That's it. That's what the universe is. So if you want to be in a relationship, you want to be happy, you want to be wealthy, you want. The universe claps its hands and says, wish granted. You have the exquisite experience of wanting whatever it is. However, if you rephrase, redirect, and refocus and ask something along the line, give me the advice to become. I am in the process of becoming. What do I need to adjust, tweak, add, subtract to be happy, to be complete, to be, where do I regain the parts of me? How do I regain the parts of me that I have wrapped in cotton batting and tucked into a box? So you choose to be. It is that slight change in attitude where you become what you choose to experience. And no, it's not putting the cart before the horse. It is actually factually creating a place for it to exist. Simple.
Bravo. So let's get back to, because we can go on and on. You know me, we'll start chatting and we'll go on a tangent. So what year did you come out with? What made you say, hey, I'm going to create? I know you said that there was something missing and you were like, that was the point of you. So take me through your process of creating this beautiful deck.
Oh, wow. It was October 20th, 1999. And same cousin, Maya, calls me up. And this is before the internet was so popular. We're spending hundreds of dollars on phone calls. And she said to me, I've got a new publisher. I said, good for you. Because she's an author. She wrote the Book of Stones and Metals and Caradwin's Oils and a few others. She's quite prolific, or was. She doesn't write anymore, but then. And she said, he's looking for a new, different kind of tarot deck. He wants something unique. And I thought of you. Why don't you get that deck that you had in your head for 20 years out and on paper, and I will sell him the idea. And I said, okay. So I went and dug out a great big sheet of poster board and split it into fours and flipped it over. So I had a bit of a tooth on the paper and drew the Ace of Pentacles just that quick. And it was, they didn't come in any particular order. They just sort of lined up and told me what they were going to be and how it was going to work. And what I really noticed right from that very first card was when you are creating a tarot card, not just a deck, but a card, you live it. You live every millisecond of that card. So it was everything from new beginnings, for material, for this, for that, but just everything about it's hard to explain because it's one of those the most authentic things you will ever feel. Okay. And it's that authenticity and the feeling that we're looking for, because that tells us that spirit is speaking to us. So I went through that deck, and by June 21st, it was done. I'm talking, just that long, and it was
so you
done.
had a real wild those matter of months. If you were living the tarot in those matter of months, it must have been a wild ride.
It's kind of a blur, to tell you the truth. But when I finished the last card, and it was actually I am. And the idea for the last four that one, the cosmic chicken.
I am.
And we do call it the cosmic chicken. When those four popped into my head, it was 2:00 in the morning. And it was, the morning of June 21st. And I got up and quickly started sketching and drawing. No, 19th, sketching and drawing and carrying on. And I got to that one, and I started to giggle. I really started to giggle. In fact, I got so loud, my roommate woke up, and he comes out and he says, "What?" And I said, "Oh, it just reminded me of something." He said, "What?" And I said, "Well, I never told you this." And it was a joke about a little girl in her room drawing, and her mom walks by, and she sees her 5-year-old daughter, just really, really focused. And she stops and she says, "Honey, what are you drawing? What are you doing?" And she looks up and she says, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And her mom kind of frowned, and the kid goes back to what she's doing. And her mom thought about it for a second. She says, "But honey, nobody really knows what God looks like." And the little girl puts her pencil down, looks up at her mother and says, "Well, if you'd let me finish." That's all I could think about when I was doing that. Now because when I did, the new oracle I'm working on, or whatever, that one became known as the cosmic chicken for some bizarre reason. I don't know. Somebody said something. And I've noticed too that when the cards got out there, when other people started reading with them, someone would make a comment about, "Oh my gosh, I love the way you added this and that in." And I'm going, "What? Where?" Like, okay, classic example, the Maiden of Pentacles. Donna Lee Del Rose and I were doing some online interview stuff and chatting about the deck once. And she said, "I love the way you've got the whale's tail and the elephant in the background." And I went, "What?" I picked up the card and I looked at it, and sure enough, over her right shoulder is a whale's tail in the tapestry in the background. And on the right, over her left shoulder, is an elephant's head and trunk. And as I'm looking at it, and I said, "Oh, and an all-seeing eye, there's one right in the middle over her head." I didn't know it was there. I had no idea. But when it comes to the I am card, of course, I had to add it in with the new one I'm doing. And this is what I got for that now.
That's beautiful. I'm waiting for this deck. So you guys know that she's coming out. I'm not sure. I know at first it was becoming a tarot, and now it's kind of like an oracle. And I don't know the deck has figured out what it wants to be yet. What does it want to be yet? Has it made up its mind?
Right now, it is a standalone oracle of 33 cards. And the longer because I thought it was a tarot too. It just, okay, we'll do it because, you said never, and that was stupid. But as I worked on it, it became, the cards are not numbered in order as the major arcana. The Steel Wizards stayed true to protocol and did that. And I just added in the last 6. But this one, there were holes in it. There were gaps in it. I needed a maiden mother crone, and she couldn't be at the end. The crone couldn't.
First of all, what's the name of this new deck that you're working on? What's the name? I know it's Eternal Seekers, right?
That's it, the Eternal Seeker Oracle. And some of the cards had, working titles, like the one that started it all became the poster for the first ever Northwest Tarot Symposium. And they asked me if I would organize and run an art show and do the first poster and be the guest artist. And I said, sure. And this idea popped into my head, this idea actually. And he became known as the Hermit Dude.
He does look like the hermit. He looks like
Yeah,
the
and
traditional hermit,
this
a
is
little bit
what he
happy.
would have been in the tarot had I left it. But it evolved too much. It went too fast. It evolved too much. And it was years in the making. But I just didn't want to do it. I flat didn't want to do it. I don't think I would live long enough to complete a whole tarot, but you never know. I mean, right now, this is where it stands as an oracle.
And when will this deck be out and available?
It's kind of ready. I'm putting the finishing touches on the book. I'm waiting. Benabelle's going to write the forward for me. I know she started. Yeah. Actually, she asked me that last year.
She's the kind of new it girl in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah, think. I know the first time I said, hi, I know we're new friends and everything, but I'm putting you on a panel. And she said, no. I said, yeah. She said, but that panel is for, those creative. And I said, you just released a book that is going to be the hottest thing on the market. Trust me.
And you know what? I'm the bad seed. I didn't really care for it.
Oh.
I have a review. I have a review up on it.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's not for everyone, and I definitely get that.
For me, I think it's because I'm a kind of old school. I love Rachel Pollack. She's like one of my go-to. I love Rachel Pollack. And I tried, but I think that it's too analytical for me. Not saying that it's a bad book.
No.
But it's too analytical. You can tell that she's a lawyer in the book. And some people,
yes.
like, I have one of all my good tarot friends, they like love it, and so be it. I'm not one to deny or whatever. It just wasn't for me.
No, and I definitely agree. But I also had Eric
I
Dunn,
love Eric.
And Kinder Hertau was with me. I can't.
God, and you know what? I want to tell you something. First of all, before you finish, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a friend, because you have gotten me through so much in the last couple of years. Well, and I want you to know that I thank you very much. And you were always saying, Retta, if you need me, you could call me. I'm there. And I want to say thank you. And I appreciate it, because for me, the tarot community has got very small, and it wasn't what I thought it was. And there were people like you, and surprisingly, Eric, which funny, me and Eric doesn't even remember. We had a tiff way back when, and he doesn't probably remember, but I love him as a person. I understand him now.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you. And people don't give you as much, because I don't even think me and Eric, because I'm trying to get Eric on the show. And I have to say, I'm asking Pamela if she could do an interview. And he was like, you know what? I am a deck creator because of Pamela. She helped me. And I don't think you even know, because he didn't even know me and you are cool or anything. And he had so much wonderful things. And I know from personal experience, from other people that don't give you credit, that you've helped a lot of deck creators. And you don't get the credit and the thanks that you deserve. So from me, for helping me personally, and also what you've done for the tarot community, which people don't talk about, I want to say thank you.
You're most welcome. It was my pleasure. Okay. And why? A lot of people say, why do you do it? When I was trying to self-publish the Steel Wizard, it was before it was cool. It was before there was things like print on demand or anything else, because that's what the Oracle is right now. It's just a print on demand. This isn't what the final will look like. I was met with brick walls every step of the way. Every step. I knew how to establish a copyright because of the Wizard's Pets from the 80s. I knew how to do that. So I just phoned the copyright office and said, what do I need to do for this? And this nice young man talked me through the whole process. When it came to a printer, I mean, I went through every printer I could track down, and believe me, I'm a pretty good researcher. And they all told me the same thing, well, no. So I thought, well, we'll try a publisher. And one major publisher, who shall remain unnamed, thou shalt not speak the name, told me to not bother. It wasn't worth the paper it was drawn on. Another one
Wow.
said, yes, we'd love to put it in our queue, but we're going to need 2 years to decide whether or not we're going to publish.
This beautiful deck right here,
Yeah.
that every time I have hundreds of decks, Pamela. I use all types of decks in my readings. I
Hmm.
have over almost 400 readings here on YouTube. And
Wow.
this is the deck that people say, hold up, what is that deck? This is the most talked about deck. This is the deck that almost all my subscribers want to purchase. Even here in chat is saying, I need to get that deck. Is this deck? I've done this deck, and what's funny about this deck is even when I did a celebrity reading like Beyonce. It's so intuitive and so on the but that right before I'm doing her reading, I was like, hey, I feel because I'm also intuitive. I also have I don't really need the cards, but I use them to kind of direct
Mhm.
myself. I said she feels like, you know, Jay-Z is her soulmate, her soul flame. And the next card I pull, because I just randomly pull from the deck, I don't do I just ran,
Oh,
was the soul flame card.
oh,
And I
wow.
was like,
Wow.
wow. And your deck
Wow.
does that a lot.
Well,
So
good.
I'm surprised, especially with a lot of these major, publishers, because sometimes they publish a lot of crap. Well, you know what? Your deck didn't need to be with them. It's in a league of its own. It needed to be in a league of its own.
You know what's funny though? When I was kind of feeling the waters for the Wizard's Pets, I sent it to the publisher that had basically told me no on the Steel Wizard. I got a letter back that read, yes, we would love to take a shot at that, but only if you give us the rights to the Steel Wizard. So I photocopied the original letter back from somewhere in the oh gosh, this would have been early 2000s sometime. And I think it was about 2003. I photocopied that letter and scanned it in and emailed him back and said, thank you very much, but no. Please see attachment.
Yes.
And the
That is
same with,
crazy. And then some people just get decks left and right from the publisher. Left and right.
and I'm with you on that. A lot of them I don't think are worth the, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know as an artist, I am a little overcritical sometimes. And just because I don't it doesn't resonate with me doesn't mean I can't see
The vision.
the vision. Well, look at Courtney. Okay, Courtney Alexander. I saw
I
one
you
of,
know I want to talk. You know I want to talk about that.
I know, but yeah, and I know why, and it's all good. But there again, I knew that what she had was very powerful, and that she just needed to be guided a little. Like not taken by the hand or anything, but just she just needed some more information. And the reason I did that was because I kept hitting brick walls. Every time I turned around, I hit a freaking brick wall on anything
And
I was trying to do.
I know what you did. Just to say, I know this is everybody, whatever I'm saying is my damn opinion. It has nothing to do with Pamela. I don't, because I'm a little bit out there. Pam knows, and the people who know me, I'm very abrupt, I'm very blunt, and I have my own opinion. So my opinion and Pamela's opinion is two different things. So don't mix me up with poor Pamela. She's grown, she has her own opinions, but I have mine too. I
And
think that I
perfect.
think you were instrumental too in regards to that deck being made and published, just like me.
Yeah,
And there's not a thank you anywhere, but that's just me.
that's okay. I
I
mean,
know you don't do it. You don't do it for the thanks.
no,
You don't do it for the thanks because I know, because you just give from your heart, because you just give from your heart. When we met, you didn't know me from Adam. We just connected.
yep.
It's not that. So we're not doing that. I'm just saying, like I said, I know what you've done for people, whether they acknowledge it or anybody in general acknowledge it. I know that you're helpful. You do it. You don't ask for anything back. But I'm saying other people get all these accolades and all this stuff. And I'm just like, really? And that's why I felt that I had to say thank you for all the people who didn't. publicly acknowledge you. I'm saying thank you because I know what you've done. And this is stuff that you don't even know because you didn't tell me what you did for, let's say, Courtney. I know because she told me.
Wow.
You didn't tell me. I know because she told me. Because when we were on the phones for hours, she told me. So you didn't even know. There's a lot of people because before I was more involved in the tarot community. I'm not as involved now. I kind of, they went a little crazy and I had to back up. But I was in talk with a lot of different people. So that's why I said I know what you've done for people. Not everybody is friendly in the tarot community. Creators, they're not friendly. A lot of them aren't. They don't like to share their information. Cardstock, they don't like to share where they get their cards done. They don't like to share, who their people who make their cards, especially overseas and all that. They don't like to share. They don't want other people to know, and they act like it's all love and light, and it's not. It's very competitive. And no, you will tell people you can get it at a better price. That's too expensive. Why don't you try here or here? And I've seen that. And I've seen the emails that you don't even know. I know people have showed me the emails that you sent them telling them that that's expensive. You should go here. You should go there. So I know who's real in this community and who's not.
Retta, my objective, I wanted, okay, Steel Wizard, for instance, I made it for me. Okay. I needed this deck to do. And for the first 7 years, I had to read with a glue stick because it was 2 pieces of photo paper glued back to back. I've still got that deck. It still falls apart. It's carefully contained in a nice wooden box my dad made for me. But what it comes down to is my purpose, my mission, my agenda involves bringing tarot into the 21st century. I wanted a household word as accepted as reading your bloody horoscope in the newspaper or online. I wanted that accepted. I want people to know it's time to bring tarot out of the closet and into mainstream. And a lot of people, they want that, but they also want to retain the mystery. It's not a mystery. It's a tool. I mean,
I say it's a tool. People are like, that's not how you use that. That's not what that card means. Well, maybe for you, that card means that. But for me, that card doesn't mean that. It's my tool. You have yours. I have mine. We might have the same tool. We just use it differently.
Well, it's kind of like I told one person, we were having a bit of a discussion on one of the Facebook threads. And the question was, well, how can you call it a tool? And I said, the same way I could possibly call you one. Wow, did that open a can of worms? But you know what? I don't care. And that's I think what's different is I really don't. I mean, I do care in the broader sense of the word, but when it comes to the drama and the theater and the Medea on the mountaintop crap, I got no time. I have no time. There's too much to do in too short a time. We're looking at over 100 years here of, thank you, Waite and Writer and all these people for making it mystical and all that. It's not. It's just a freaking tool. You can do it.
Divination has been from the beginning of time. It's just different tools they use. They were now able to develop paper, but before that they used rocks or shells or hair or
God, yes. I mean, I have a set of runes. I made them out of, oh God, that was 50 years. Now the poplar that they're made from is 200 years old. There you go. There's
my old runes.
All color coded for the certain tears. They've actually, the book that I've written for the Oracle, because there's a lot of runic stuff in this. What I did was I devoted an entire page to a chart that shows the different tiers and which god or goddess they're dedicated to. And then it goes down, and if there is a correlation, like basically the rune itself, 2 or 3 words on what it is or what it represents. And if it has an alphabetical correlation, then yeah. But I couldn't figure out for the longest time, like when it comes to runes, everything else is like the Fibonacci spirals, okay? Everything else is in nature.
Is that the back to your new deck?
Yes, that's the backs. And it's
It
a
looks
double
like two
Fibonacci.
details.
Yeah, it's completely reversible.
Oh, okay. I like them.
Thank you.
So
And
how? Finish your thought.
but it left.
That's how I am. That's how I am.
Yay.
So I know we were talking about we were talking about runes and stuff, and
Yes, lines of power are straight, and that's how I finally got it through my head. Runes are always straight lines. There's no deviation. There's nothing there that's going to. They're not quote natural, but yes, they are, because ley lines are straight. Dragon lines, whatever you want to call them, they're straight.
And to me, that very straightness is very masculine. I
It
find
is.
runes more masculine.
They are. They are. But I had to learn them because my then 12-year-old son wanted to learn runes, and I couldn't find a rune master in North America to teach him.
Wow.
So I had to learn it. And I wrote him a book. And anyway, yeah.
And your deck, which is funny, because usually a deck will kind of feel masculine or feminine for me. Your deck doesn't feel like either or. It kind of feels, it doesn't feel feminine. It doesn't feel masculine. It's kind of like an enigma all itself. It doesn't have this overbearing masculine. It's an emotional deck, but it's a very straight shooter. You would think that I would feel it was more feminine, but it's not. And it's not elemental, because I have some decks that are elemental.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of energy it is, but I haven't figured it out yet. But I know it's not feminine and it's not masculine, even though it's a very emotional deck and it's very straightforward and it makes you think. But it's not elemental. I've had some decks that are elemental, but I don't know what kind of energy do you think, or do you think it's individual? Because usually,
okay, I was a single parent. I had to be mom and dad, and I was also a ultimate tomboy as a kid. My sister's in the kitchen, cooking and learning to sew in my mom's sewing room. And I'm either hanging over the hood of my truck or on a horse somewhere out in the desert, or at my grandparents' farm hauling hay and milking cows. I was one of those. Okay. So having two boys, yay. I was totally comfortable with that role as single parent. The only thing I couldn't teach them was basically how to shoot, because that's just not me. But my dad, he took them out and taught them gun safety and everything else, because we did have predators where we lived out in, you don't have to shoot them, but you got to scare them off, except you can shoot the snakes that are chasing you. That one I will allow. But for the most part, it's a universal energy. Okay. It's neither masculine nor feminine. Okay.
That's what I felt. That's weird how you are confirming it, because usually when I get a deck, I'm like, this feels very masculine. This one, and I'm like, no, this one doesn't feel masculine. And when you said universal, that's what I get, kind of hermaphroditic, like very universal.
There you go. Because if you look at it, the last 6 cards go beyond duality.
Let's get into them, because did the tarot community give you hell for these 6 cards that you've added? Because there's a lot of traditionalists in the tarot community, and they think that things are supposed to be done a certain way. Now there's some new people on the block. Everybody's a tarot deck creator now, and they're all trying to make a different deck to kind of change the system, which doesn't need. But this deck, for some reason, because I think, if you remember, I emailed you. I mean, not even I messaged you, and I said, Pamela, I love the deck, but what the hell's going on with these cards? I don't understand it. You remember that?
Yes, I do. Very much so. Eclectic was up and running pretty hard at the time. And of course, you've got Soul Twins and you've got the Lovers, and they're the same card, just different presentations. And before I could even reply, there must have been 20 underneath it said, no, it's totally different. You don't get it. I'd already written the book. I already had it out there. And some of the cards were even confusing me. Like, I knew what they felt like, but I didn't know how to explain it. Whenever you get something that, that level of authenticity that we'll feel when we're reading, but to to actually verbalize it was kind of tricky. And I mean, I'm trying to do 88 cards, so this was a little tricky, impossible at times. And somebody made the remark about shadows, and it just whack, everything fell into place. Soul Twins is about embracing your shadows. It is about taking the parts of you that you don't show the public and bringing them home, because that's how you become whole. That's how you achieve that self-mastery, is through self-knowledge.
And that's one thing, not to cut you off, but I say, because you are a tarot reader, I get so many people that are worried about their soul flame and their soul twin. And I'm like, no, you got to find that within yourself first, because you are your own soul. Not everybody has a soul flame on the physical. Not everybody has the soul mate. Sometimes that soul mate is you.
Oh, my middle granddaughter thinks her cat, she believes her cat is her soulmate, which I kind of believe it too. But
kids say the same thing. They're more in tune to the higher self than we are. So,
and here's the thing that really kind of, you're absolutely right. It's all about achieving wholeness. And that's what the Steel Wizard became for me, was the keys to self-mastery. I wrote it on the back of the deck, or the box. You've got it right there.
I have the box. Mind you, this is my favorite card.
Is it?
Is to look in the mirror. You need to do a self-reflect. And when you look in your mirror, you have to know your truth and see your truth for what it is, not what you think it is. You need to find it. Let's see. Where did you say? Powerful.
Here's the thing. Whenever I did the Eternal Seeker Oracle, I know I keep going back to that, but this is like the updated version of truth. Okay.
I love it.
I stuck to that part too. I stuck to the protocol for the Steel Wizard when it came to the, the cards that I added in. I did change the name of Soul Twins to Shadows, just because I wanted it to be a more...
Oh, that's a pretty card. What's that, a dragon?
Yes. And it's hard to see here, but it's manifesting itself out of the shadows behind her. Or him. It's rather an androgynous figure, but who cares? This is the whole idea. That's why when I did the Steel Wizard, I needed to fix me, okay? This is what I did it for. I did this because I needed extra tools. And yes, to go back to your previous question, when I released the Steel Wizard, I went to my first ever tarot event was 2011, and I went to the Bay Area Tarot Symposium and was told point blank to my face that adding cards to the deck made me a heretic. And this is so funny, because the same gentleman about an hour later floated through, and he said to me, he says, "Did you bring any of your decks?" I said, "Yeah, I've got a few copies with me." He said, "Are you selling them?" I said, "I am." He said, "Would you wholesale one to me?" And I said, 10% over cost, sure. Like 10% over. And he went, "All right, fair enough." And he relayed this story to me later, which I found hilarious. I really did. I couldn't stop laughing. He got home with this deck, and he took out the extra 10 cards, and he went to do a reading. And then he posted this, not to me, but just to the general public at large. And he said, "Well, I went to do a reading with my Steel Wizard tarot deck, and I took out all of the extra cards because they're superfluous." It's a privilege. Anyway, it was whatever the word he used. And he said, "And I got to shuffling them, and it felt like I wasn't playing with the full deck." And I went, he said, so he thought, well, what the heck, because he had a client coming. So he takes and shuffles the extra card in. And then he was a little perturbed, because he was figuring out, of 88 cards, what are the chances of one of them showing up? Oh,
that's
yeah.
The same thing for me.
And like he said, so here he is, a professional reader of decades, saying, "Excuse me for a minute," getting the book out, opening it up, reading it along, and oh crap, putting the book down and continuing with the story, And I thought, well, at least you had the courage and the courtesy to admit this publicly and not just come to me privately and say, okay, you're still a heretic, but you're on to something.
Yeah, because
yeah.
I emailed you and I said, I love the deck, but what are these cards?
Yeah.
And then you told me what they were, and you were like, the deck isn't complete. And then when I started using the deck, I said, you know what? You're freaking right. This deck, it's like without those cards, the deck wouldn't be what it is.
No. Well, when I was getting ready, when I was designing the book and the box and all this, my husband says to me, he said, because I was kind of farbling with it and fussing about it, and I'd go sit on the front steps and I would pout for a while, then I'd get up and come back in, and this was going on. And finally he said, he never took his eyes off the TV. He said, honey, I said, yeah. He says, what makes your deck unique? Out of all the hundreds and thousands that are out there, what makes yours different? And I looked him straight in the eye and said, well, it takes the guesswork out. He said, okay, now find a way to say that without insulting anybody. Okay. And that's kind of where I was headed, was it took the guesswork out for me. I no longer wondered if this card meant this or that, because it definitely means this. I assigned it a meaning, period, a feeling, let's say. And there again, we're back to the authenticity of the whole thing. If you are inauthentic in your readings, it's going to show, it's going to smell, it's there. But as long as you are the messenger and you're just the messenger and you are reading from a place of spirit, authenticity, honestly, have you ever noticed it, how you can be done with a reading and within 20 minutes you forget the details? You might
forget almost every reading. I don't remember what the heck I said in the reading at all.
You don't need to. You don't need to.
That's why I have to put when I have clients too, I have to write their name and certain things so that it can kind of, but I don't remember my clients' readings unless I have my little piece of paper that I kind of jot down some things to kind of, put me on track, but I don't really remember. Even now that I have my readings here on YouTube, I can go back and watch.
Yes. Oh yeah. And see, I record them on still use CDs right now. I've had people record them on their phones, but I suggest they record them. And you wouldn't believe how many people said, oh, I'll remember, don't worry about it. And about 3 minutes into it, they stop me and say, do you mind if we record this? Not a problem. Because really, we cover so much information in such a short time. An hour is not that long. 30 minutes is not that long. Even 15.
I stopped doing 15-minute readings. I can't, I don't even offer 15 minutes because I think that's a waste of your time, my time, money, whatever, because I'm just starting to get into the swing of things within 15 minutes. So I don't even offer that. It's either a half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. That's it. I have all these people that have questions. You agree that way too? I don't know how people can do 15. I can't.
Well, you can do them if you're in a setting like I used to do 15, 20-minute readings at the medieval fair or at the Rock and Gym show up in wherever it was. I would go set up my tent and there I was, 15-minute readings. I didn't record them. And then after the first year I read at the one event up in mid-central Alberta, the show organizer, the people that own the store that hosted the show, asked me, will you do 30-minute readings? We'll charge them this, and will you record them? Because sure.
People want to know, do you do tarot readings now?
I do. And
so where can people contact you for tarot readings?
You can go through my website. It's steelwizard.com.
Can I get your deck from there too?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. The whole thing. It's got a hot link to Amazon for both of my decks right now. And it has for quite a while.
I'll make sure I'll put that in the description.
Okay, because the Guiding Tree, the people that host the Northwest Tarot Symposium, they are my distributor, because shipping out of Canada, it was $1 less than it cost for the deck to send it. So a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6. Anyway, I moved my entire distribution center to Portland because it's reasonable for shipping. It's not reasonable from here. It's crazy, but it's not reasonable. When they wanted $38 to ship a $40 deck, I thought this has got to stop. So
It's,
it is.
and
It is.
decks have got expensive too. You know, decks are no joke,
No, they're
especially.
not.
And I don't mind paying for a quality deck, you know,
No,
but I don't
not at
mind
all.
paying, you know, for good card stock and stuff like that. I don't mind paying because I mean I've seen decks go up for. I've spent some money on some decks now,
No kidding. But it's like with
but
the
now
Wizards.
I'm kind of on a, you know, I haven't bought a deck and I think I've bought maybe one deck. I'm kind of, you know me, I've kind
Oh
of
yeah.
left. I'm saving money. I haven't bought any decks really in 2 years. And I was a devil.
Wow.
You remember how much an addict I was.
Oh,
I
I
had
know.
an
I
addiction
remember.
to buying tarot. But
Well,
you know all the stuff that was going down in the
yeah.
whole tarot world. I said I'm not going to buy any of these people's crap. I'm done. I was so
Yeah.
mad. And to
No,
this day,
and I don't blame you. But it's like, with the Wizard's pets. This one is probably my most expensive, but this is just the inside of the box.
I know it's beautiful. I showed them. It comes with the coloring book. The box, the box is awesome. You had this when boxes like this weren't really, people weren't really using these type of boxes.
No, they don't. But if it's that way, you've got a place for your coloring book. And I always recommend you photocopy these because Charlie printed them on some really high quality paper, really high quality, and they don't take color very well. So photocopy the silly things. You can even enlarge them. They're shot at 300 DPI, so you could enlarge them to poster size if you wanted to color one that big. The book, it's just a safe place for your book, your coloring book, and your little deck.
I didn't even read the back of this. I had no idea that Kim Huggins did your
Yeah,
the forward was by her for this.
Kim did the forward for me.
I didn't even see
It's
that.
delightful. It's charming. And then Den Elder and Juno Lucina, she's a very dear friend of mine. She did the little blurbs on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Eric's going to write me a little blurb.
Eric's done. I see Eric's
Oh,
there.
yeah,
He's made and that's one. His deck is one of the ones I use that are people who can't connect with the Rider Waite the first try because it didn't, it didn't connect with me. I recommend the Tarot Illuminati because it's based right off the Rider Waite, but it's so vibrant, it's so pretty, and it has modern looking type of people, and there's different ethnicities and all that. So
Eric is a brilliant artist. He's one of the most brilliant artists I've ever stumbled across. And, I got a quick note from his mom once that we're friends on Facebook too. And she said, thank you, because, he really wasn't going to finish that deck. And she said, and you pulled the mom thing on him. Yeah, I kind of did, didn't I? But what I saw with just a few, well, the first image of his I ever saw was the High Priestess.
Mm-hmm.
And it absolutely stunned me because this was the chattiest High Priestess I'd ever seen in my life. And I'm looking at it on a Facebook thread thinking, oh my God, and nobody knew who did it. Well, give me 10 minutes. So I pulled the image out and got to looking, and I found him on DeviantArt. Of all places, DeviantArt. And I do have I don't use it very often, but I do have one there. So I wrote him a note because I wanted to see what else he could do. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I invited him to join the Tarot Deck Creators Group, which actually Roxy Sim and I started that. She started it as a page. Because I said something.
I think I got a couple of her decks. Is she the one who has that? I bought her deck.
Pearl of Wisdom.
Is it
Pearls of Wisdom?
Huh?
Pearls of Wisdom.
Yes, I have. I've never used. I've bought the deck because I like the idea of where she came from that deck. I have never used it. It's a little busy for me, but I think it's gorgeous. I haven't used it. I
It's
think,
breathtaking.
huh?
But she and I actually started the page together. And it had, when Facebook started changing their protocols where that people couldn't just post and comment, I didn't like it. So I told her, I said, we need to start a group. And she was kind of dragging her feet, but I went ahead and did it anyway, because if somebody asks me to do something, I will bend over backwards and do my dead level best. But when you tell me I can't do something, that's bad. So I started the group, and I set it up to where each month we would have a different artist in the banner and blah, blah, blah. And finally Roxy agreed, yeah, it's a good idea. But she's doing a different deck right anyway. She's no longer in the group as an admin. She's moved on, which is great. But ironically, the first card she did for her Pearls of Wisdom was also the Ace of Pentacles, which we found really, really funny. I mean, she's a darling woman, and she's really,
The
really.
deck is beautiful, and I think she made the deck. I think she lost her son, or
She did. It was
she lost
horrid.
her son, and that was her grieving process through the deck. And that's why I supported it. I was like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
a beautiful thing.
It really is incredible. And you can, there again, it's back to the authenticity. I mean, she was reclaiming her own personal power through this deck, and it shines through. There's no way you can pick up that deck. And I mean, it's such a joyful, happy deck, even the cards that are, whatever, not so joyful, but you can still find the joy in it. And that's what I loved about it. I loved it. It's just that way. So, I mean, you've got a lot of creators out there that I will support them if their heart's in the right place. And there's a lot of them that's exactly what they are. But I'm like you, I got a little, let's say, disappointed in the tarot community a few years ago.
I'm still hurt. I'm still like, yeah. I'm still hurt. I'm still traumatized. I'm still got like post-traumatic stress from it. And I'm really, really hurt, especially with people that I supported. I supported. I recommended. I supported. I bought my own hard money, and I loved. And then for you to talk and feel like that about me, about someone that took from my energy and purchased it, and I'm still hurt. And I don't think it's ever going to. That's why I said thank you, because I don't think it will ever be the same for me, and I'm okay with that. I've made my peace, and I've made my own tarot thing by myself. And I think you and maybe 4 other people are like on my friends list with regards to tarot. I kind of like changed everything, and that's okay. That was a lesson we all needed to learn. I think this whole process that I'm saying was a birthing process, and it's painful, and it was something that we all needed to learn. We needed to understand who people really are, and it let me know who are the gems. There's still lots of gems in there. I love Raina George. She's still a gem. She is an awesome, beautiful diamond gem. Carrie Paris is a gem.
Definitely.
You're a gem. Eric, even though we had a tiff years ago about cardstock, but I understand it's a creator. It's your baby. I didn't like his cardstock. I'm like, I love your deck. It's beautiful, but the cardstock is shit. He was so bad. But I understand him now, and I appreciate him, and he's a gem. And even James Battersby, there's certain people that are a gem, but there was a lot of a wake-up call for me in the tarot community. And there's some that watch and say things in the messages, like, oh, I can't believe how they're doing it, but they're still so in awe of some of these people that they don't speak up, or they feel like they will get the backlash or get discommunicated from the crowd.
Well, who was it? It was tarot professionals years ago that after they had everything from you they wanted, if you didn't fall in line and toe the line and play by their rules, you were blacklisted.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because this happened to me, which I found charming and delightful, because I really didn't give a shit. I still don't. But
I had no, maybe that's why I don't see your name out there or pushed. Like some people's shit is thrown, and they have a freaking deck that comes out every 6 months, and their shit is all over, and it pisses me off because I know you're just in it for money. I don't even know if you even do tarot. I don't even know if you even read cards. You just keep pushing out product, and that pisses me off. So
yeah,
I didn't know maybe you was blackballed because I haven't really seen your name out there, or I couldn't even find. Remember when I said I couldn't? I've been looking for your deck for years. I
yeah,
couldn't find it.
that's so strange. Really, if you just type it into Google, it'll show up on Amazon and Facebook and everything else. But the beauty of it is, like I said, I really don't care. But whenever it happened, it was hilarious because I posted it somewhere, and I probably had 20 other people say, "Welcome to the dark side. You're in good company."
That's what.
I read the first one. I thought, "What?" And then I kept scrolling and reading, and yay, you! And I'm thinking, "Wow,
And you know what's
wow,
funny? Is us dark side, we stick together. We're like, fuck them. You know, we're
yeah,
gonna support each
exactly."
other on this dark side.
Well, I think what we're looking for in tarot and in tarot readers, and it's funny you asked me if I read because it dawned on me
I
about
knew
six
you
months.
read, but they had questions, so I had to,
That was wild because about 6 months ago it clicked. No, how many people actually know I was a reader for 20 years before I started the Steel Wizard? How many people, like, how, what? Okay.
there's some people who made decks that didn't know nothing about
Um,
tarot. They
I
just
know.
decided to make a deck.
And it shows. I'm sorry, it shows. Okay. And I'm not going to follow structure in it, but there is a certain protocol. There's a certain authenticity to the protocol when it comes to tarot, Lenormand, Thoth, all of them, that you need to at least acknowledge, at least head nod to. So when it comes to the Steel Wizard, tell you by the time I started this deck, I had retired my old Rider Waite deck, which is the one that I set out carefully, one card at a time, and thought, I can't do this. I don't want to break it. So I put it away and bought another Rider Waite so I could do the Wizard's Pets. But when it came time to do this, I'd been reading with Robin Wood's deck, which just thrilled me to no end. I love her work. She was a Disney artist, for Christ's sake.
Is she the one that made that kind of? Is that the one that's like the animals?
No, nope, that's Robin Wood Tarot. It is absolutely gorgeous.
See, I can't read. I can do the druid craft, but I can't read with the Robin Woods.
Okay, okay. What about the Wildwood Tarot? I love that one.
I can't read with. I can read with the Wildwood. Wait, what's the
Yeah, the
Wildwood?
Wildwood. Let me see if I can quickly
Is the
find it.
Wildwood Tarot? It sounds. I might have it.
Wildwood Tarot. Google search. Wildwood at Amazon. There we go. Huge selection. Great. Oh, yeah, that's the one. Okay. Now, here's the reason I fell in love with it. Well, one of the reasons is Mark Ryan, who was the author, actually, of it, is charming, delightful, and I love him to pieces. And he was one of our guest speakers at the Northwest Tarot Symposium. Cut and paste. And I got a reading from him. And it was amazing. It was great. It was fun. And then we got done with the reading, and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, don't you have a deck out? I said, yeah. He said, huh, what is it? I said, the Steel Wizard. He said, oh my God, that's you. Why? What did it do now? I mean, it's like when people ask me, oh, are you their mother? Why? What did they do? I don't want to, I'm not going to admit to anything unless I know. Well, that's not true, of course. Too obvious. But I love the wildwood because it speaks to the shaman in me. I don't use it for reading. Actually, I haven't read with anything but the Steel Wizard in so long. I don't know if I could.
I used your Steel Wizard, happened to be for the first time at I had a tarot party I did, and for some reason I wanted to go along. And I the majority of the night I did your deck, and I actually used this one with me because I didn't want to
Ooh,
bring my nice hard box one because that's like my favorite one. I brought this one with me, and this is the one you sent me. Thank you again. I
you're
love it.
welcome.
And I brought that with me, and it was a hit at the thing. And it just read so beautiful for those little 15-20 minute readings that I
Yeah,
did there.
exactly. The thing that gets me, Retta, is that when I pick up a different deck, I will use it for self-reflection. I will use it for advice. I use them personally. But when it comes to reading, the reason I always grab the Steel Wizard is because otherwise I don't feel like I'm playing with a full deck. I'm
Mm.
sorry. I really wish things were different, but it's almost like I need more. And if I've got cards on the
You know
table,
what it feels like? It feels like it's the tarot and the oracle because I know this when I do read, especially on you, because I test a lot of decks here on YouTube. I
yeah,
use different decks to test them out, see how they read. And I seem like I use an oracle deck and a tarot deck. But I feel a lot of times with the Still Wizard, I don't need to go grab that oracle because the oracle is already included in the Still Wizard tarot. That's what I feel.
thank you. But that's the reason right now for the Eternal Seeker. I don't know how many people have said, oh my gosh, you could use that with a tarot in a reading and, go beyond, go deeper, go where you would like. And I said, yeah, that was the whole idea. Um, I mean, it's a completely different art style because I got too much arthritis in my hands. I have a lot of trouble holding brushes and pencils anymore. But give me a stylus and a tablet and an art program, I'm your girl. Okay.
So you did that all on the computer. You did that
Yes, all
on
of it.
iPad.
Um, no, it's actually a Wacom drawing tablet. I've got a bigger one I've had for like 10 years or longer. And then I've got a smaller bamboo that I carry with my laptop.
Mm.
And everything I learned the hard way, everything I do for tarot is backed up on an external hard drive. Everything. And then it's backed up in 3 places. Let's put it that way, because I am not losing another piece of artwork ever.
So I know you're doing your finishing touches. When can we expect this External Seekers album?
Okay, I'm in a crossroads right now, a bit of a dilemma. I'm not 100%, 110% sure. We're getting pretty close to the holidays, so I'm really not wanting to put it out there now. Um, I would though like to. I think I've talked to Benabel, talked to a few people, and I think I would like to approach publishers to see if they would be interested. Um, Benabel made me promise not to sign anything till she's read it, which of course I won't, because I
She's a
always have.
liar.
I
she,
know, that's what she said. If you do, I will. And I'm going, I know, I know. And I've always done that anyway. I've actually coached people with contracts, but I'm not an attorney. You need one because these are the points I want you to look at, and this is what I want you to watch for. It's unbelievable, but okay. If you've been following Benabel's process with the Spirit Keeper, you know what is involved in self-publishing a deck, and not just getting the artwork there. Then you've got the book, and then you've got to design box, book cover, all of it. It all has to work together, and believe me, that
I
is no
see. Is
small
that
feat.
the deck everybody or the book right now? Everybody's talking about the Spirit Keeper. I see everybody printing things up and talking about it, and it's like,
Belle did a beautiful
Is
thing.
that Benabit?
She
Is
put
that
a coloring book in with it too, which is fabulous.
Oh, see.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's the way to go if you can. I thought about it with the Eternal Seeker, but they're not black and white. They didn't start out as black and white line drawings. They started out as something different. But when it is black and white, like she's got her spirit keeper, then yeah, sure, go for it by all means. You know, you should be able to, and that's what she's done. And the companion book is called the Book of Maps. And you can get a hard copy, but that's a separate order through, you know, a POD, print on demand. Sorry.
I think it's Lulu or something. I think
Yeah,
everybody was.
I'm pretty sure it's with Lulu. No, I've spoken to Game Crafter,
See,
and
don't do Game Crafter. Please don't do Game Crafter. They have the horrible card stock. I can't
they
take
do.
it. I won't
They
buy
do.
another deck from them.
No, they're terrible. But and I talked to Superior Print on Demand, and they both said they could handle orders. You know, like print it, ship it, cut me a check, that kind of thing. Because I really don't have the time. I don't think I could make the time, and I know I don't have the energy. I mean, I'm 67 years old. I don't have what it's going to take to do another.
But you know what's strange? I'm surprised publishers. This is how you know that there's the gatekeepers and stuff. I'm surprised with the success of these two decks, and even if they don't know it, this deck, like I said, you know, this is the most out of all my decks. This is the most one that people talk about and ask for, and people have. I think I even sent you comments that people one after another. So I had to. I see you working that deck, Retta, and I had to go buy it. Why are publishers saying instead of you looking for them, like they're giving some of these people freaking deck after deck after deck? You've already self-published basically two decks. Why aren't they saying, Pamela, your two decks were successful? Can you make a deck for us? I don't, and you already have it there. I don't understand how come they're not asking you.
Well, probably because when I do end up crossing over, my epitaph is going to read "does not play well with others."
That's me. That's why we get along so well, because I don't play along with others either.
Well, it has everything to do with you offered me 6 or 8% royalties, you cheap prick. I mean, I don't say that out loud, but they know what I'm thinking when I go back and say, well, it's like Eric when they offered him 6 or 8% through different publishers. Because, oh, well, you're an unknown quantity and we don't do this and we don't do that. And I told him, you're not signing that, period, ever. I don't care. And then I told him, I said, I know you wanted to stay in the US, but let's look elsewhere. And
And
I
not
mean,
even to state nothing, but look at Doreen freaking Virtue, who made millions and millions of dollars from the tarot and oracle community to turn her back on the community and say it's of the devil. I'm
yeah,
just like, what the hell? You made millions,
I know.
millions of dollars.
I never had any use for her or her decks or her teachings or anything else because the angels I
What
know.
it is the catchphrase of angels. You know, people think that because you put angels in it, it's got to be good and it's not scary. And if I'm a Jesus person, I can actually use that deck because it has angels in it. It's a gimmick. I understand that.
The angels
But
I know have flaming swords and are warriors. They're not little cherubs with trumpets, or harps. Trust me. And again, these are beings you want at your back when you go to war. That's it. That's what they're for. They're God's warriors. So if you're Christian, but what it comes down to is it was kind of I had an interview.
well, people are saying you look great, Pam.
Aw, thank you.
Put you guys as questions. I'm starting to look at this thing now to answer questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the capital letters so I can see them so we can get them to Pamela, because me and her will just go on a tangent and forget we're online and maybe talk about crap we shouldn't be talking about because we're forgetting that we're in public. So ask some questions.
Please, I am here to answer if I can.
Oh, let's see. A lot of people agree. Oh, let's see. We're getting all this. They said don't pick U.S. games. They only like liberals.
Oh my God, isn't that true?
I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. And that was actually, if you want to know the truth, that's who told me that the Steel Wizard wasn't worth the paper it was drawn on, and then later asked me for the rights.
Oh my God. That makes me kind of not want to buy another. I haven't bought any decks. I'm telling you, I haven't bought, I think that last deck, I haven't bought any decks. I don't think so. And if I haven't, the decks I've had is usually decks I've had a while. I think the only deck I bought was the Spirit within the last year or 2 years.
Okay.
I haven't bought any decks because I'm like, just like you did.
Yeah.
So I'm only supporting. So my listeners, please, this deck, you guys have seen me use this Steel Wizard deck. You have seen me use it. You see how it reads. Go support Pamela Steele, please. Say your website again, Pamela.
It's steelwizard.com, and Steel is spelled with an E like my last name.
Steele, right? And
yeah.
I know they have them on Amazon too, but go check out her website.
And well, my website actually has a hot link. If you go to buy the deck or purchase the deck, it's BUY, buy the deck. And it's Steel Wizards, one word. There's no dots or anything, all lowercase, steelwizard.com. And if you go to buy the deck, it has hot links for both editions. And it takes you to Amazon, to the guiding tree, which is where your best price is, because they were not listed number one. And so I got a hold of Jay and Jedzia and said, drop it to this price because I want us listed as first. And he said, you won't make as much money. I said, I don't care. I still want my friends, my people to benefit from, I mean, they're my distributors, you know, and I know it's a pain in the ass sometimes.
Especially my conservative, you guys, my people. Please support Trump. I mean, please support Steele, Pamela Steele. I don't know why I got Trump, but please support Pamela Steele.
My family in the States, my kids, everybody down there, they wear MAGA hats. So hey, you know.
But please, it's please support her. I've seen it. We've witnessed it. We've been there for each other. Like, don't pay them no attention. They're crazy. I'm messaging you. You're messaging me. And we need to kind of, rally around people who actually care and not put in this fear. That was the one thing that we and you agreed on. We're like, why are all these people in this freaking so-called love and light going crazy? Why aren't you using your tools? You'll know everything, even though whatever you're seeing on TV is making you go crazy. Everything's going to be okay.
You do. Absolutely. So, and I mean, Retta, you and I both knew that Trump was going to get the nomination and then he was going to be president. We knew it. Every other reader online is, oh, don't worry about it. Clinton's in. And I'm thinking, I was absolutely core who I am, confident. I was equally terrified because I knew Trudeau was going to win. But that's okay. There's your balance. There's your,
yeah.
And it's got to come more to center. And God, hopefully we can pull that off. Otherwise, we're screwed. But hey, I refuse to believe that because there's one. Okay, let me point this out. Okay, you look at the major arcana, and this was something that always bugged the crap out of me. How do you get from absolute chaos, the tower? How do you get from, there it is. How do you get from chaos? Like this terrible, whatever.
It's like, how do you get from chaos? You got to start. It's like, that's breaking you down
to the star. How do you get from the tower to the star? Because all of a sudden you've got the bulldozers coming in and, oh my God, we're all going to die. Poof. Oh, well, okay. I gave it some thought. And it was really about to drive me nuts, but I did finally get it figured out. And this is how you get from A to B. And this is hope.
Hope. Yes, that is.
And that is the one thing.
People have forgotten that part. They've forgotten to have some hope.
We can't lose that. We have to have that. If all you who enter abandon all hope, well, screw that, buddy. I'm keeping it, because we have to have hope. If we do not have, it's going to color our dreams. It's going to infiltrate our lives. It's going to eat us from the inside out. But if you've got hope in there, just this much, if you've got hope, then that gives you a little bit of faith. And if you've got hope and you've got faith, and then you can take a deep breath and begin to, from the inside out, create a better reality.
A Two magazine said, Pam, call Dina at Schaefer.
Yeah, a shiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've actually.
And they said, yeah, what a slip, Retta. You guys caught that, didn't you? I
didn't. I know Chris. I've known him from different. Well, he used to go to Bats, and he's never graced us at Newt yet. But Gina, you guys know Gina Thies, right?
Yeah.
Gina, she's my girl, one of my girls. They always set her with her Schiffer booth up next to the art show, which is great because then we can kind of keep an eye on each other, help out. She did the Terror of the Moors. Wow. And it's being released really soon. And Schiffer published that one. And I think that was the best call they have made in a very, very long time.
It intrigued me, but I don't like the art.
No, you don't? I do.
Because I am a person of color, and
yes.
I am someone that's really into the Moors, and it's not for me, but I'm very honest with my opinions. People know that, but my opinion is like an asshole. Everyone has one. It's just mine. People support. She's a person of color. Please support her. I've bought decks that I don't really care for. I just support the artist. I heard she's a wonderful person. I've met her. I've met her. She's a wonderful person, and she's of color. So please support her. I'll probably buy her deck because I've heard she's a wonderful person.
She is.
She has that same energy as Raina George, yes. So I'll probably buy it. Yes. But visually, it's.
You know what? Here's something really weird. I lived in West Texas till I was 12, and then we moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, the way I was raised, this is in the 50s, like the 50s, and pre-race riots, pre-civil rights movement, pre-everything. And I didn't understand, and no one could explain to me why we weren't supposed to talk the little Hispanic kids or what. I couldn't explain it. Then we moved to Las Vegas. My mother panicked, which was fine. I mean, she had every right to. But I started going to school there, and it was amazing. I started realizing that there I could choose my friends by their character, no more, no less. And raising my children, same way. You hang out with people of character. I don't care if you're orange with green stripes. I don't give a crap what your heritage is, what your beliefs are. Are you honest? Are you a good person? Tell me about you. And we can honestly, I don't see it. I just don't see it. It's okay.
It's funny, like me, I grew up and and it's funny is that I didn't grow up with other people of color. Everybody I grew up with was Mexican, a couple of Koreans, and a couple of whites. And I didn't meet another like this kid in school till that was my complexion or darker until about 7th grade. So I kind of was raised in, and it's because I was raised in mostly Spanish and, some white homes and some, I was raised in foster homes, but my godparents are Mexican, this and that. So that's what cracks me up about this whole thing. Cause I was raised, you would think I would speak Spanish, but I don't. They tried. They said I have a lazy tongue. I just can't roll. I just never got into speaking any language. I usually could understand them, but I couldn't speak it. The color to me is like, now I'm like, it's the. Okay, let's see. I'm going to see if there's anybody have any questions? Oh, people are saying no, Schaefer got horrible card stock. Don't use
the cards I've picked up from Schiffer are, I I like them. Originally, when they first were publishing, yeah, they had shit everything, but then they pulled up their socks, and the ones I've seen lately are decent, more than decent. They went to a 330 GSM paper, and that's
Oh, see,
nice
I
stuff.
haven't bought any decks in the last 2 years, so
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
I'm anal about cardstock, and I'll be the first
I
to
am too.
admit it.
I'm a card stop. That's why it cracks me up, even with your deck. I'm like, I didn't even care about the card stock, and that's strange. Even though this one, if you guys are more inclined, this has a better card stack than her original. But funny enough, is I actually like the original, but I think it's because I'm more bonded to the original, and this one has.
Probably. Well, the
But
thing
this,
about the second one, though, is that there is no little white book to it. That is when if you go to buy the deck at my website, it's a free download. And
oh,
it is, it just lists the cards and tells you a little bit, like the guidelines for interpreting. There's no pictures, there's no nothing.
but you know what I'm
It's
mad about?
basics.
Is that
What?
I stopped reading people's books a long time ago.
I did too.
Cards. I just pick them up and say, let's get to it.
Yeah,
I don't
don't do
really.
it.
My allergies are going crazy. I don't read. I have, like, if I buy the deck, I'll buy the book. And the only book that I really read and I kind of enjoyed, and it was strange, was the Illuminati Tarot. But
Yeah,
wasn't that Kim Higgins? I
that's
think she
beautiful.
did an awesome job on
She
that.
did.
But I don't
That
really.
was so hilarious. Eric actually, the person that was supposed to write his companion book, he finished the deck and the guy went, You're ready now? And so he has this, oh my God, what do I do? The deck's ready, and Los Scarabeo is waiting. And God, he did get a hell of a contract with them. I was so pleased. Um, and I said, post it, sweetie. That's why we have the group. Post it and ask for input. That's what you do. So he did. He posted in the Tarot Deck Creators group, and it's a secret group. Yes, I know all that.
Happened? Hold on. Oh, somebody tried to remove somebody. I'm like, what the heck happened? Sorry about that.
Tried to remove what?
And someone tried to remove somebody on the thing, and it came popping up at me.
Oh,
All right.
cool. But he had several people volunteer like within the next 3 to 5 minutes. And Kim sat down and wrote a 500-word piece for one of the cards and sent it to him. And this was all done right now. And he went, oh my gosh, there we go. So that's how they teamed up, and they are seriously a dream team. She also did the Tarot Apocalypses. Now he's got another guy he's teamed up with. Mark. He's going to shoot me for that one. He's doing an oracle. It's a
Oh,
little
I think it
dark.
would make a beautiful. I have the Tarot Apocalyptic. I love the decks, but they're too busy for me right. I'm going through a stage where less is more
Yeah,
for me, and I have both decks. I love them. I recommend but it's too busy right now for me.
no, there's something to be said for simple elegance. You know.
But
Well,
people had questions. Hold on,
okay, well, you're streamlining your life. When people begin to streamline their lives, they will look for something that reflects that. And that's why it's too busy for you right now, just off the top of my head.
it does it changes though. I think
Yeah.
like decks I didn't like before. I like some of them. I like now. There were some decks that I was like, "What the hell was I? Well, what was this?" And I actually are like, "Oh, that's a pretty cool deck." I can't think of one. Oh, this deck. This is one of my favorite decks, the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. And when I
Oh,
first got
nice.
it with all the writing on it, I hated
Yeah.
it until I took all the writing off because it's a low Scarabeo deck and it had all the different equipment.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Nice.
I cut it off, and now it was one of my favorite decks.
Nice.
Let's see. They're saying this has been so fun, us, because I think
Aw.
we were well. At least I did. I forgot I was talking to other people in the public. Watch somebody gonna say, "Retta, you was a mess." They say they said how did you learn if someone's looking to get into tarot? How's the best way to learn to read cards for you? Like,
The first thing you do is you find a deck that you resonate with, period. Okay. I look them over, look at the artwork. Most of it, 90% of it is available online. You look through the cards, you look through each and every card, and then you start picking out your favorites. Like some people will buy a deck because they like the Empress card, or some people will like the wheel, one of them. But look through it and see which ones feel like you are making a connection ahead of time. Then when you do get your deck, take some time to get to know it. But one of the best things to do is, and I can't stress this enough, keep a journal. Keep a journal. And do me a favor, and don't do yourself a favor, actually. Don't get one that is a complete novelty deck. Like Brian Froud's Fairy deck. It is gorgeous and it's virtually impossible to read with. I've seen absolutely phenomenal decks out there. The artwork is breathtaking and you're going, oh, I love it. But you can't read with them. Start with something that has a protocol established, like Lenormand or Thoth or Rider Waite, because then they're like Retta said originally, there are thousands of books out there on these decks. So you will be able to find a couple of books that make sense to you, maybe 3, maybe 4. Mary Kay Greer, Rachel Pollack, they've all written. Bonnie Chauvet wrote an excellent book on birth cards and you. So to find your birth card pairings and to get to know them, but mainly keep a freaking journal. Trust me on that one. Find a deck that already kind of speaks to you. When you get it, take your time getting to know it. No, you don't have to sleep with it under your pillow. No, you don't have to cleanse it with sweetgrass or sage and sit it in the window under a full moon. You do not have to do any of that. I'll tell you how to do it. The best way to condition your decks to speak to you, or if you're reading for someone, you want it quick, blow on them. Okay? Oops. Okay, Google Hangouts. Oops. Did we lose something? Retta, I can't see you if you can see me. We just sort of kind of fell apart. And live and
Hey, you guys. I know I'm back real fast. I'm sorry. All of a sudden, my internet just went down. It shut down. And poor Pamela, she didn't even know. I'm like, Pam, I just messaged her. I'm like, it just went down. She was like, she had a wonderful time. It was fabulous. She said it was probably the universe telling us we were talking too much. So I just want to appreciate everybody who came in and joined us in the discussion. Please support please support Pamela. The deck is awesome. It breathes beautifully. Um, she doesn't get, the accolades that, she deserves. And she's a really sweet person, you know. We connected from the first day we've met. It was a connection, and she's always, has been a voice of encouragement. She's seen things that, you know and she's always like, Retta, I almost gave up the whole, I almost gave up. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we didn't get all your questions. Um, we didn't get all your questions in, and I'm sorry. I apologize. Um, but it's really early for her too. So you see, it's really, really early. I think I'm like 3 hours, so it's 11 o'clock here. It's probably like 7 o'clock there or so. But oh, I'm thank you guys for tuning in, and sometimes I forgot I was talking live. I kind of forgot. So, Glinda guidance. I forgot sometimes I'm talking and things were popping out that probably shouldn't have been popping out my mouth. But no problem, Nico. I'm glad that I was able to get. She had more people had more questions, um, because it just knocked down. Spears said that was the end of the interview. Yeah. So I'm glad. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys later, and we'll have more with different types of people and stuff. I'm gonna see if I can get an old interview person I did before, if he'll come back on, because he's been kind of controversial. His last interview I just listened to yesterday was quite controversial, and I would love to have him on and talk to him about it. But we'll see. So talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.